chosen one. Heaven has interrupted your steps. What you are hearing now is not coincidence, it is divine intervention. You were moving quickly, but not forward. Something hidden was guiding you, softly, gently, into a path that looked harmless, until heaven's light said, "Stop." There is an action, small and silent, that has started to drain life from your spirit. Maybe it's a compromise you call temporary. Maybe it's a habit you whisper, "I can stop any time." Yet heaven sees the road that single choice is paving, a road that ends in spiritual death. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 1, "Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the company of mockers." You once felt conviction burn inside you like a spark under your ribs. It told you when to turn back. But lately, that spark has dimmed. The voice that once roared, "Don't do it," now only murmurs. That is the danger of delay. Conviction fades when you train your heart to silence it. You keep saying, "It's not that serious," but it is. Heaven sees a pattern, your near surrender, then your retreat. Each hesitation built a bridge toward compromise. You have stood at the edge of obedience so many times that now the edge feels like home. A few nights ago, you felt that pressure in your chest. That was not anxiety, it was heaven tugging your soul, trying to reach through the noise. The Spirit paused your rhythm, cut through distraction, and whispered again, "Stop." You stand in a spiritual crossroads now. One path glitters with comfort, the other burns with surrender. One feels easy, but leads to emptiness. The other feels hard, but leads to life. Picture this, a candle trapped in a glass jar. It shines beautifully at first, but slowly the oxygen fades. The flame flickers, fighting for air. That is what happens when your soul ignores the breath of God. You suffocate your own light. But mercy is speaking again. The Father's voice breaks through the static. Turn around. This isn't the path of the chosen, it's the path of the lost. You've never been like the rest. You were marked for holiness, not hiddenness. You were born to disturb darkness, not dance with it. Each time you lower your brightness just to fit in, your spirit withers a little more. Think of Jonah, the prophet who ran from his calling because obedience felt too heavy. He thought distance could dull conviction, but even the sea rose to correct him. The storm was not God's anger, it was mercy in motion. Heaven will sometimes shake what you trust to save what you're losing. Maybe this interruption is your storm. The silence, the closed doors, the endless frustration. It is not rejection, it is redirection. God is breaking what could break you first. Yes, it hurts to let go of what you've grown used to. That comfort, that relationship, that secret indulgence, they've become part of your rhythm. But not everything that feels peaceful is safe. Sometimes the enemy gives you quiet so he can keep you asleep. This is not condemnation. This is rescue. Heaven does not expose you to shame you. Heaven exposes to save you. This message is grace in warning form. Let me tell you a story. There was a chosen one, much like you, a woman strong in prayer, glowing with purpose. But over time, kompromisse kamediskis das kindness, just one night out. Her friend said, just one harmless moment. That one moment turned into a pattern, and the voice of God, that once thundered became faint. She still sang worship songs, but her peace was gone. One night, she wept. "God, why do I feel so far?" The whisper came. "You've been drifting while believing you were standing still." That's how small disobedience works. It doesn't pull you drift. It doesn't shout, it hums. Until one day, you realize the silence of heaven isn't distance, it's your own deafness. But not you. Not this time. Because heaven stepped in. This very message is a divine interception. You can still turn back. The flame can still breathe. Take a breath. Remember who you are, a royal priesthood, a carrier of light, a mirror of heaven's heart. If you feel that stirring inside, don't ignore it. Whisper softly, "I hear you, Lord." And if this message has reached your spirit, pause and act not for me, but for your alignment. Like, share, or comment 77 as a sign that you choose obedience over comfort, not out of pressure, but out of purpose. This moment isn't about algorithms, it's about awakening. Heaven is not punishing you, it is protecting you. Your flame will breathe again. You didn't notice the trap at first. That's how deception always begins: gentle, familiar, disguised as wisdom. The enemy rarely comes dressed in red. He comes clothed in reason. He whispers, "You deserve this." And suddenly, compromise feels like self-care. It began as something harmless, a choice that soothed your loneliness, an escape that silenced the ache. But slowly, that relief became a chain. You began to depend on what was draining you, and heaven saw it. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 12, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. You've been calling it peace, but it's only distraction. You've been naming it comfort, but it's only delay. That's the subtle cruelty of the hidden trap. It keeps you busy while your spirit grows dull. Do you remember the moment you felt closest to God? It wasn't when life was perfect. It was when you were desperate, when you had nothing to lean on but Him. That fire, that hunger, that clarity, it came from dependence. The enemy knew he couldn't destroy you by force. So he tried to replace your hunger with satisfaction that fades. You've started to confuse, feeling okay with being aligned. But peace without purity is counterfeit. It's like a calm ocean hiding a whirlpool beneath the surface, silent, but deadly. The trap is not always sin in its obvious form. Sometimes it's a friendship that feeds your old wounds. Sometimes it's a conversation that pulls you back into gossip, disguised as venting. Sometimes it's a habit. You say you'll stop after just one more time. In proof, the enemy knows that if he can keep you close enough to the edge, you'll mistake danger for normal. He's not trying to get you to fall in one leap. He's trying to get you to drift inch by inch until you no longer recognize how far you've gone. There's a story told about a chosen one named Elia. He was gifted, anointed, full of light. But he had one weakness. He wanted to be accepted. He thought he could walk with God and still sit at every table. He learned the songs of the world and told himself he was just understanding culture. But slowly, his convictions grew soft. One night, he realized he couldn't pray without distraction. He felt empty, but couldn't explain why. It was then he heard the Spirit say, "You cannot keep holding the hand of both heaven and the world." Elia's story isn't ancient, It's yours. It's mine. It's the story of every heart that tries to balance two kingdoms. One promises visibility. The other demands surrender. One feeds your ego. The other heals your soul. The trap you're in isn't built from iron. It's woven from comfort. It tells you you're fine, while slowly erasing your hunger for holiness. That's the quiet death of many chosen ones, not rebellion, but slow indifference. Imagine a bird that forgets it can fly. It walks on the ground, searching for crumbs, ignoring the sky that was made for it. That's what happens when a chosen heart forgets its design. You were made to soar above the noise, not crawl through it. If only you could see how heaven watches, not in anger, but in grief. Angels who once guarded your path now pause, waiting for your next move. They know you still have time, but they also know how narrow the line has become. You wonder why joy feels distant, why your prayers sound dry, why your dreams seem paused. It's because the trap doesn't just cage your actions, it cages your atmosphere. When you stay connected to what God asked you to release, you block the flow of His new anointing. The Lord is not punishing you. He's revealing the counterfeit. That's mercy. He would rather wound your comfort than lose your soul. This is the moment to see clearly. Don't search for blame, search for truth. Look at what steals your focus, what drains your peace, what keeps you repeating the same cycles. Those are the threads of the hidden snare. And when you recognize it, don't reason with it. Don't negotiate with something designed to destroy. The longer you explain to sin why you're leaving it, the longer you stay near it. Some traps require silence and distance, not explanation. Your spirit already knows what needs to end. The ache you feel now isn't guilt, it's your soul trying to breathe again. Heaven's not asking you for perfection, only awareness. Once you see the trap, it loses power. Once you name it, the chains begin to rust. Your light still burns beneath the dust. It waits for you to uncover it again. You've started explaining what once broke your heart. That's how the enemy wins, not by sudden rebellion, but by teaching you to reason against your own conviction. You whisper, "I'm just human. God knows I'm trying." Yet every time you defend what heaven calls dangerous, you drift further from the sound of His voice. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 32, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Truth isn't always gentle. It doesn't comfort, it confronts. It tears the veil off the things you've justified and calls them by their real names. And that moment, the one you feel right now, the tension in your chest, that's not guilt, that's truth knocking. There was once a chosen one named Amara. She used to pray with passion, her words shaking heaven itself. But life grew heavy. Responsibilities multiplied. She began cutting corners in obedience, telling herself, "At least I'm not as bad as before." Soon, prayer became optional. Holiness became flexible, and conviction felt too intense. The drift was subtle, wrapped in logic, camouflaged by good intentions. Amara didn't wake up one morning far from God. She reasoned herself there. She explained away her silence until silence became her norm. That's what justification does. It lets you decorate your cage and call it freedom. You might tell yourself you're just being practical, mature, balanced. But balance without conviction is just compromise with better marketing. The enemy's goal isn't to make you evil, it's to make you comfortable in gray areas. He knows comfort kills conviction faster than sin ever could. Heaven is not angry, it's pleading. The Spirit is standing by, hands extended, saying, "You don't have to keep pretending. You can drop the mask and still be loved. You can be flawed and still be chosen. But you can't stay where you are and still grow." Excuses are the perfume of disobedience they make. Wrong smell right. You keep spraying explanations over what needs repentance. But no fragrance can hide the scent of dying purpose. Remember, chosen one, God is not interested in your performance. He's after your honesty. He would rather hear your broken truth than your polished defense. Imagine a garden left untended. The weeds don't arrive overnight. They grow in silence, curling around the roots until the flowers suffocate. That's what happens when you justify your decay. You don't notice the loss of beauty until the fragrance is gone. But even now, heaven waits. God doesn't withdraw when you fall. He waits when you justify. Repentance isn't about punishment. It's about returning to air after drowning in self-made excuses. If you could see what happens in the spirit realm when you drop your reasoning, you'd never cling to it again. Angels, rejoice not when you succeed, but when you surrender. This is the moment when heaven is giving you back your roar. The voice that once cried out in purity will rise again if you dare to speak truth over yourself. So, pause here. Let the light in. Don't argue with conviction. Thank it. It means heaven hasn't gone silent on you. And when you're ready, make this small but sacred declaration. Type below, "No more excuses." Then, write it not as a comment, but as a confession, a line in the sand between who you've been and who you're becoming. It's more than 4 words. It's an agreement with heaven. When you say it, you're telling darkness, "I'm done negotiating. I'm done defending what's killing me." Heaven reads that sentence as a contract of surrender. And from that surrender, power flows. The kind that restores your clarity, revives your prayer life, and renews your strength. This is the hour where clarity replaces confusion. No more rehearsing your reasons. No more soft rebellion wrapped in good intentions. Just truth, pure, burning, liberating truth. You were never meant to survive halfway holiness. You were meant to blaze. When you speak those words, no more excuses, heaven moves. Chains that logic built begin to crack. The fog that dulled your vision starts to clear, and suddenly you can feel again. Conviction becomes comfort, not condemnation. You remember who you are, a vessel of light, not a victim of patterns. Every step forward after this moment is sacred. Even small obedience carries eternal weight. The atmosphere around you will shift, because the truth you've spoken isn't just heard, it's recorded. Angels move where honesty breathes. Darkness loses. Claim where surrender stands. So, walk now, not in shame, but in clarity. The path ahead may not be easy, but it will be clean. Heaven's eyes are on you. Keep walking toward the sound of truth. That's where your freedom lives. There comes a terrifying silence when conviction fades. It doesn't happen overnight. It starts as small hesitations, quiet resistance. You tell yourself, "I'll pray later," and later becomes never. The voice that once tugged at your heart begins to grow faint, and soon the absence feels normal. That's when danger begins, not when you fall, but when you stop feeling the fall. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Amos, chapter 8, verse 11, "The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will send a famine through the land, not a famine of food or a thirst for water, but a famine of hearing the words of the Lord. That is the silence of the soul, when the word no longer stirs you. You read, but nothing burns. You pray, but nothing moves. You listen to messages that used to ignite you, and now they only echo faintly against the walls of your heart. That's not because God has left. It's because you've built walls high enough to muffle his voice. It's the mercy of God that he still lets you feel the absence. Because the most dreadful state isn't distance, it's numbness. When you no longer notice you're drifting, when conviction feels optional, when the whisper of heaven no longer interrupts your thoughts, that's when the famine has begun. A chosen one named Micah once lived through this season. He had seen miracles, felt the Spirit move, walked with divine favor. But as success grew, so did distraction. He began mistaking busyness for purpose, activity for intimacy. His prayers turned into performance, his heart mechanical. When he finally sat in silence, the presence he once felt like fire was gone. He cried, but no words came. He learned then what many never do, that the scariest punishment isn't wrath, it's withdrawal. When God lets you taste the weight of your own distance, not to crush you, but to make you crave his nearness again. This silence is not abandonment, it's invitation. God is still there, waiting in the quiet, waiting for honesty. Sometimes he steps back, not because he's done speaking, but because he's waiting for you to stop talking long enough to listen. When conviction turns quiet, the enemy grows loud. He fills the empty air with substitutes: logic, comfort, distractions. He'll feed you new obsessions, new routines, new noise, anything to drown out the emptiness. Because if he can keep you entertained, he can keep you enslaved. But deep down, you already feel it, that haunting ache that follows your laughter, that dullness that lingers after distraction. You can fill your time, but you can't feed your soul with imitation, peace. Conviction was never meant to shame you. It was meant to shape you. It's the voice of love disguised as fire. It's heaven saying, I still see something worth protecting inside you. Imagine a lighthouse whose flame has gone out. From the distance, the sea still looks calm, but the ships no longer know where to turn. That's what happens when conviction dies. Your soul loses direction, and what once guided others through storms becomes another dark silhouette against the night. But even now, the keeper of the flames stands ready. The oil has not run out. The light can still return. All it takes is acknowledgement, that one soft whisper, I miss your voice. Lord, that alone breaks the famine. You don't have to manufacture tears or force emotion. You simply need to stop pretending you're fine. Authenticity breaks silence faster than perfection ever could. There's beauty in realizing that the quiet isn't punishment but preparation. God is not gone. He's waiting for sincerity to return, like rain after drought. His presence comes back to the soil that admits its dryness. And when it does, the first sound you'll hear won't be thunder, it'll be peace. The peace that follows surrender, not avoidance. The peace that fills every hollow space the noise once occupied. Don't mistake this silence as God's absence. Sometimes the teacher stays quiet during the test, not because he's left, but because he's watching how you'll respond. When the voice grows still, it's your cue to return to stillness. The famine ends the moment hunger returns. When the silence finally breaks, it won't come as a shout, but as a whisper, a soft reminder that heaven never left. You'll realize that, even in the quiet, God was closer than your breath, waiting for you to notice the hunger returning. Let that awareness stay. Let it cleanse you. The famine was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. Every echo of stillness becomes proof of grace, a divine reminder that the absence of sound is not the absence of God. Compromise doesn't shout. It whispers. It starts with tiny choices that seem harmless. Moments you call small things. But every small yes to the wrong thing is a silent no to what God planned for you. And soon, the ground beneath your feet feels weaker. Your prayers lose weight, and your peace feels thin. The Word of God declares in the book of James, chapter 4, verse 7, "Submit yourselves, then, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Every act of compromise builds a pattern, and patterns become prisons. The Spirit has been showing you where you've been soft, where you've traded conviction for comfort, and now He's calling you to rebuild the walls that have fallen. You see, compromise never comes demanding. It comes suggesting. It never forces. It offers. It's like a slow leak in a ship. You don't notice it until water fills the lower deck. And by then, you're already sinking. But the beautiful thing about God is that He still gives you time to patch what's leaking. There was once a chosen one named Rima. She loved God deeply but lived surrounded by compromised friends who mocked purity. A workplace that normalized deceit. A heart that kept saying, "I'll change when life slows down." One evening, she felt her joy fade for no reason. She prayed, "God, where are you?" And the Spirit whispered, "I never left. You did." That moment broke her. But that breaking became the beginning of rebuilding. God doesn't ask you to rebuild in strength. He asks you to rebuild in surrender. You don't fix compromise by working harder. You heal it by returning faster. Think of your soul as a garden. When weeds of compromise grow, they choke the fruit you were meant to bear. The gardener doesn't condemn the garden. He just asks for permission to prune. And sometimes, the pruning hurts more than the growth. But afterward, everything blooms stronger. This message, this very flow of words reaching you, is part of that pruning. Heaven is reminding you who you are. And as you listen, as your heart steers, you're rebuilding the foundation of obedience. And if this message touches you, take a moment to water the soil it came from. Click like, share it with another weary soul, and subscribe so the river keeps flowing. Every tap, every share is like dropping one pebble into a pond. The ripples travel farther than you can see. And if your heart feels led to pour a little more, to give, to sow, do it not out of duty, but as devotion. Think of your gift as oil for the lamp. It keeps the light burning in the night for someone else lost at sea. Your donation is not a transaction. It's participation in the miracle of continuation. No one is keeping count. Heaven sees every act of generosity, whether it's a prayer, a word of encouragement, or a small gift that helps these messages continue flowing freely. It's never about the amount, it's about alignment. You are part of a current. Each gesture you make adds to a river of hope that carries truth to distant shores. Your support isn't asked for, it's invited, like the open hand between friends sharing the same fire. Because what matters most is that you choose to stay connected, not just to the words, but to the transformation. Stay with us. Subscribe if you haven't. Keep the flame alive. You're not investing in a platform, you're investing in purpose. Every click, every share, every small act of giving helps heaven reach further into the darkness. And in return, heaven never forgets a heart that gives freely. The Spirit is rebuilding something inside you right now. Stability, courage, conviction. The same way a sculptor patiently shapes stone into beauty, God is shaping your will into strength again. Each time you say no to compromise, heaven applauds quietly, knowing another soldier just stood up in the army of light. Don't despise the slow progress. Don't feel guilty for needing to start again. Grace doesn't keep score, it keeps doors open. Compromise ends when courage begins, and courage always begins. Small. One honest choice. One surrendered heart. One whispered yes to obedience. That's how revival starts, not with thunder, but with surrender. So, as this message settles in your spirit, remember this: the same God who called you still wants you. The same grace that saved you still sustains you. And when you give, share, or simply listen with an open heart, you become part of the flame that refuses to die. You are not behind. You are rebuilding. There is a quiet war for your mind. It doesn't come with noise or sirens. It comes with thoughts that sound like your own. The battle is not outside of you. It's inside. The enemy knows that if he can capture your thoughts, he can direct your steps. As was spoken in the sacred texts of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing and perfect will. The mind is holy ground, but it's also the most invaded place in existence. Every fear, memory, and whisper of doubt tries to settle there. You've been walking between two voices, one that tells you keep believing, and another that tells you just give up. That's not confusion, that's warfare. And yet, the very fact that you feel the tension proves one thing: you haven't surrendered. Those who have given up feel nothing, but you still feel, you still wrestle, and that means heaven hasn't stopped fighting for you. Your thoughts are not broken, they're simply crowded. The enemy doesn't have to destroy your faith, he only needs to exhaust it. So he plants small seeds: anxiety disguised as preparation, fear disguised as caution, self-doubt disguised as humility, and slowly, those weeds begin to choke your peace. Picture your mind as a beautiful library. Every shelf holds stories written by heaven, but somewhere between the pages, foreign words start appearing. Lies written by darkness in your handwriting. You start reading them, believing them, living them, until one day, the author walks back in and says, "These pages were never mine." That's what the Spirit wants to do. Right now, edit your thoughts, restore your truth, rewrite your narrative. There was a chosen one named Leor. He battled thoughts that chased him through every night. He prayed, fasted, tried to stay busy, but nothing worked. One night, in complete exhaustion. He whispered, "God, I can't stop thinking." And the still, small voice replied, "Then stop fighting, and let me think for you." From that day on, Lior stopped trying to control every outcome and began to trust the unseen author of his story. You don't have to fight every thought that passes through your mind. You only have to stop feeding them. Darkness loses its voice when ignored and starves when truth is spoken. God doesn't silence your thoughts. He sanctifies them. He turns the same mind that once overanalyzed into a temple of revelation. He turns confusion into clarity, worry into worship. It's time to reclaim the territory of your thoughts. The world wants to occupy your attention. Heaven wants to restore your focus. You were never called to be a prisoner in your own head. You were called to be a commander of your peace. Every anxious loop, every what if, every voice of defeat, it all breaks when you surrender your inner space back to the Creator. That's the true meaning of transformation. When heaven's order returns to a human mind. So right here, right now, make this moment your declaration. Comment the number 222 below. Let that number mean, I align my mind with heaven's truth. Let it mean I choose peace over panic, stillness over spiraling, purpose over pressure. Let it mean my thoughts no longer belong to fear, they belong to faith. The number 222 represents divine balance, body, mind, and spirit returning into harmony. It's heaven's reminder that order is being restored where chaos once lived. When you type it, you're not performing a ritual. You're performing renewal. You're stepping into agreement with peace itself. So breathe deeply. Let the noise fade. This is what clarity feels like, not the absence of thought, but the alignment of it. The storm doesn't need to end for peace to exist. It just needs to meet the one who can walk on it. Your mind is sacred ground. Chosen one. Guard it like treasure. Feed it with light, not fear. And when the old voices come back, knocking, remind them, I don't rent space to lies anymore. The battle for your mind is not ending. It's transforming. Because the moment you chose surrender, heaven claimed victory. And as you rest in that victory, you'll begin to notice the quiet, not empty, but full. It's the sound of heaven settling inside your thoughts, rewriting every anxious whisper into peace. Hold on to that stillness. Guard it like sunrise after a storm. This is your renewed mind, not striving, not spinning, just steady in divine rhythm again. Sin rarely feels poisonous at first. It tastes sweet, sounds harmless, even feels comforting. The deception of darkness is not in its appearance, but in its timing. Sweetness first, sickness later. What begins as relief ends as rot. What feels like safety at night becomes shame by morning, as Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 13, Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. You've tasted this pattern before: the cycle of temptation, satisfaction, and regret. The enemy never tempts you with ugliness. He offers what looks like fulfillment, but with a cost that only heaven can see. He wraps sin in pleasure, so you won't notice the leash attached. It starts with an innocent glance, a harmless word, a small indulgence. Then it grows teeth, and before you know it, you've built an altar to something that was never meant to be worshipped. That's how the heart drifts, not in rebellion, but in quiet repetition. There's a story told among the old prophets about a man who carried a serpent as a pet. Every day he would feed it, polish its scales, show it to his friends. "It knows me," he would say. "It won't bite." But one day, when winter came, the serpent bit him. As he lay dying, he whispered, "Why?" The serpent replied, "You knew what I was when you picked me up." End quote. That's what sin does. It pretends to be tame until the cold season comes. And when your guard is down, it bites. The sweetness of sin isn't just in the act, it's in the escape it promises. It tells you, you deserve to feel good. It paints rebellion as relief. But the cost is always spiritual dullness. Each time you indulge it, your discernment fades just a little more. You've probably felt that fading, the loss of joy in worship, the numbness in prayer, the quiet guilt that follows laughter. That's the spiritual hangover of sin. The pleasure ends quickly, but the echo lingers long. The most dangerous sins are not the ones that shock you. They're the ones you've learned to justify. The little lies, the harmless habits, the thoughts you call normal. They build altars in your heart and call them comfort. There was a chosen one named Nara. Her laughter was bright, her heart sincere. But she kept one secret doorway open, one habit she refused to surrender. "It helps me cope," she said. And it did. Until it didn't. That one doorway became a floodgate. She began to lose her peace, her sleep, her clarity. But God, in His mercy, didn't abandon her. One night, as tears fell onto her pillow, she whispered, "God, I'm tired of being okay on the outside and dying on the inside." And heaven answered, "Then stop feeding what's killing you." Nara learned that repentance isn't a punishment, it's permission to breathe again. When she finally let go of what had chained her, joy came not as a shout, but as quiet relief. Sin loses its power when it's exposed. Darkness feeds on secrecy. The moment you drag it into the light, it begins to wither. You don't need to perform for forgiveness, you just need to admit the truth. That's where restoration begins. Imagine carrying a cup filled with muddy water. You can't make it clean by shaking it harder. The only way is to pour it out and let living water refill it. That's what repentance is, not self-punishment, but exchange. You release what's impure so heaven can pour in what's holy. The deceptive pleasure of sin lies in its false promise that it will comfort what only God can heal. But what sin offers temporarily, grace restores permanently. The difference is eternal. You were never meant to live in cycles of guilt and apology. You were meant to live in transformation. Every time you resist what used to enslave you, heaven celebrates quietly, like a gardener watching a wilted flower finally bloom again. Don't romanticize what once ruined you. Don't long for what once left you empty. The cost is too high, and the trade is never fair. The sweetness fades, but the scars remain. The mercy of God is that He still calls you. Even after the bite, He still whispers, "You can come home." He still waits by the narrow gate, hands open, eyes kind, saying, "This time, let me lead you to joy that doesn't fade." You don't have to explain your weakness to Him. He already knows. He's not shocked by your struggle. He's waiting for your surrender. When sin promises sweetness again, remember the bitterness that followed last time. The memory of pain is not punishment, it's protection. So, walk away from the illusion. Let go of what sparkles in darkness. The real light doesn't glitter. It glows steady, holy, alive. And when you choose it, even quietly, heaven notices. The serpent loses its hold, the poison drains, and peace returns. Mercy is a mystery. It doesn't arrive when you deserve it. It arrives when you shouldn't. It's the divine interruption between judgment and grace. The soft hand that pulls you back from the cliff before you even realize how close you've come. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 6. The Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth. Right now, mercy is still speaking your name. You can feel it, that gentle conviction that refuses to let you go too far. The fact that you're reading this, breathing this, is proof that mercy hasn't stepped back yet. Heaven still believes in your return. The truth is, you've been standing on a very thin line between grace and grief. Every time you ignored that tug in your chest, every time you said, "I'll fix it later," mercy covered you. It's been protecting you from the full consequence of choices you never should have made. But mercy doesn't last forever in silence. It calls, it warns, it waits, and then, if unheeded, it steps aside to let you taste the weight of your decisions. That's not cruelty. That's love giving you one last chance to wake up. There's a story of a chosen one named Elijah. He was gifted, passionate, full of promise. But like many, he started to drift, not in rebellion, but in distraction. One night, as he sat in his room, a thought pierced his heart. If I keep going this way, something holy in me will die. It cried quietly, not because of fear, but because he felt how fragile mercy can feel when ignored. The next day, he changed direction. That one decision saved his future. That's what mercy does. It gives you a doorway while there's still time to walk through it. You might wonder, why does God still give me chances after everything I've done? Because his love isn't logical. It's covenantal. It's anchored not in what you do, but in who he is. Even when you're faithless, he remains faithful. Even when you've broken promises, he still keeps his. But mercy also carries a warning. When grace becomes routine, hearts grow numb. You start assuming there will always be another chance, another day, another apology. That's how mercy turns from miracle to background noise, until one day, silence falls, and you realize heaven has stopped repeating itself. There is nothing more terrifying than when mercy grows quiet, when your heart no longer stirs, when conviction no longer burns. When the warnings stop coming, that's when distance has done its work. But you're not there yet. The fact that you still care, still feel, still ache for something more, that's mercy alive. It's whispering, there's still time. Picture a candle flickering low, its flame trembling in the wind. Mercy is the hand that cups around it, shielding it from being snuffed out completely. Every prayer you've whispered in exhaustion, every tear that fell in regret, every "God, help me," that was heaven's breath, keeping your light alive. Mercy is not weakness, it's warfare. It stands between you and the darkness that wants to claim you. It pleads your case in the courts of heaven, even when you've run out of defense. Do you understand the weight of that? Every sunrise you've seen, every time you woke up after a night of near spiritual collapse, those were not coincidences. They were extensions of divine patience. Mercy is not permission to continue in sin. It's the opportunity to stop before sin consumes you. It's the final call before silence. The hand pulling you back while there's still light to see the road. Sometimes, mercy doesn't speak softly. It shakes your plans, closes doors, allows heartbreak, not to punish you, but to prevent a greater fall. It's the unseen barrier between you and destruction. If you could see the prayers that have kept you alive, the angels stationed around you while you were unaware. The times heaven whispered your name just before disaster, you would realize how deeply loved you are. But this love demands a response. Mercy is not meant to be admired. It's meant to be answered. You don't earn it. You honor it. Every time you turn your heart back toward God, you are saying, I recognize what I almost lost. That recognition keeps mercy alive. So pause. Let this truth settle. You are still within reach. The door hasn't closed. The hand hasn't withdrawn. The clock is still ticking. But grace still reigns. And somewhere above you, heaven whispers one more time, come home, before the silence begins. Light doesn't always feel comforting when you've lived long in darkness. The moment truth hits, it burns. Purity feels painful after long exposure to sin, not because light is harsh, but because your eyes are still adjusting. That sting you feel is not punishment. It's healing, beginning. The ancient words recorded in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 5, still echo today. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart. At that time, each will receive their praise from God. When God begins to cleanse you, it doesn't always feel peaceful. It feels like a fire in your chest, like light pouring into corners. You'd rather stay dim, but don't mistake that discomfort for rejection. It's restoration in progress. The darkness is not fighting you because you're failing. It's fighting you because you're finally breaking free. You're walking through holy discomfort, that stage where the familiar feels wrong, but the future still feels far. The in-between is sacred. It's where God reshapes you into someone who no longer fits where they once hid. There was a chosen one named Ezra who lived this exact tension. After years of compromise, he decided to return to God fully. At first, he expected joy, instant, overwhelming, effortless joy, but instead came silence, tears, and strange unease. Why does it hurt to do right? He cried, and heaven whispered, because healing always hurts before it helps. The Spirit was cleansing what comfort had corrupted. Ezra began to notice how his habits resisted holiness, how even his thoughts tried to drag him backward. Every step toward light made him tremble. But he kept walking, and one day, the trembling turned to peace. That's the hidden truth of transformation. The pain you feel is not the end, it's the cleansing. The closer you move toward light, the more lies are burned away. God never called you to survive darkness. He called you to disturb it. That's why your presence bothers the places you've outgrown. That's why people who once welcomed you now watch you differently. When light walks in, shadows scatter, not because the light is cruel, but because exposure changes everything. Purity isn't just about avoiding sin. It's about allowing light to redefine your entire identity. It's not about rules. It's about radiance. You were made to glow with heaven's reflection, not merely to behave better. When God begins cleansing you, He doesn't just remove what's wrong, He restores what's real. He brings back innocence where shame used to live. He returns joy to places that once felt haunted. But make no mistake, the fire of transformation feels fierce. It burns away attachments, illusions, and excuses. And while it burns, you'll be tempted to run. But don't. Stay in the refining. Stay in the light until it no longer stings. Because one day soon, that same fire will stop feeling like pain. It will feel like power. The light you're walking through now will become the warmth you offer others later. What scorches you today will shine through you tomorrow. This is the process few talk about, the awkward, aching, necessary stage between forgiveness and freedom. When you've been cleansed but haven't yet learned to live clean. When the old world no longer fits, but the new one hasn't fully formed. If that's you, take heart. You are not regressing, you're refining. God is stripping away the last layers of disguise. The tears you shed now are washing away the residue of the old season. Don't fight the cleansing. Don't rush the restoration. Let the fire finish its work. And when you feel the heat of conviction again, don't hide. Lift your head. Say, I'm still here. God, burn what needs burning. This is the sound of rebirth, messy, painful, but glorious. If this message mirrors what's stirring in you, write it as your declaration. Comment, I'm being refined. Let those words mean, I'm not running anymore. Let them mean, I'm learning to love the light, even when it burns. Let them mean, I'm ready to be made new. Your comment isn't performance, it's prophecy. Heaven reads every word not as data, but as devotion. You're not losing comfort, you're gaining clarity. And once your eyes adjust, you'll see that what you called fire was actually light making room for glory. When you write, I'm being refined, you're not confessing weakness, you're declaring transformation. It means you trust the fire, that you're letting God shape you instead of shame you. Those 3 words say to heaven, keep working on me. They say to darkness, you no longer own me. And they say to yourself, this burning is not the end, it's the beginning. There are covenants you never realized you signed. Not written on paper, but etched in your choices, quiet agreements made with fear, regret, and habit. But tonight, heaven holds out scissors of mercy. The old signatures can be cut away. The apostle reminds us in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 17, now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Freedom doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes like a breeze through a locked room. You feel it before you see it. That gentle loosening in your chest, that's heaven reclaiming what used to belong to guilt. You've been renewing invisible contracts for years, promises to pain, loyalties to the past. Each time you said, I guess that's just who I am. You unknowingly re-signed the paper, but the Spirit whispers tonight, tear it up. The ink has dried, but grace can still erase. Imagine your soul as a lake. For years, debris has floated on its surface, memories, mistakes, names that no longer belong there. God doesn't drain the lake, He stirs it. He sends wind across the water until the dirt settles and the reflection returns. That's what's happening now. The wind of truth is clearing your reflection. There was a chosen one named Mara. She kept wondering why joy never stayed. She prayed, fasted, cried, yet peace always escaped her. One night in prayer, she saw a vision, a harp with broken strings. God said, "I want to play a new song, but you keep handing me the old instrument." That night she let go of the melody that no longer matched her calling. Breaking spiritual agreements is not about fighting darkness, it's about inviting light. The moment you say, "No more ownership here," heaven moves in and cleans the room. Now pause. Let your heart breathe. This isn't a warning, it's an awakening. The Spirit doesn't shout, He sings. Can you feel that rhythm rising again? And while you listen, know that this very message exists to reach hearts like yours. These words are more than content. They are carriers of light. If something here touched you, nurtureit. Click like it's like striking a match, so someone else can find this flame. Share it forward. Think of it as releasing a small boat of light onto the waters. You never know whose storm it will find. Subscribe if this voice feels like home. Not as obligation, but as connection, so the flow of truth can keep watering your soul. And quietly, gently, if your heart feels stirred to give, to pour back. Let it be like adding oil to a lantern, not payment for light, but participation in keeping it burning. Your gift is a breath of wind that keeps the flame alive. Every small act of giving, every share, every whisper of prayer becomes a current that carries this light to another shore. There is no pressure here, no ledger, no demand, only invitation. Because generosity is never measured by amount, but by alignment, the alignment of your heart with heaven's rhythm. You are a co-keeper of this flame. Each time you help it burn brighter, another soul sees the way home. Think of your giving, your support, your listening. As drops of water falling into a dry garden, you may not see the bloom immediately, but heaven already feels the fragrance rising. You don't owe anything to a voice on a screen. You owe everything to the freedom you just tasted. Keep it alive by sharing it, by living it, by keeping the air clear for others who can't breathe yet. And as you do, notice the air around you shifting lighter, warmer, freer. That's what happens when covenants break and true worship begins. So, like, share, subscribe, not because you must, but because light is never meant to stay in one house. Give if you feel moved, because rivers are meant to flow, not collect. Freedom is not taken, it's chosen. Tonight, you shows it, and heaven, watching, whispers, the contract has been destroyed. Freedom always begins quietly. It doesn't arrive with thunder. It enters like dawn, soft, patient, certain. You'll wake tomorrow and feel it, the air cleaner, your heart lighter, your thoughts unclenched. That's the sound of release. What once chained you now feels distant, like an echo fading into peace. Every breath becomes proof that you've stepped out of the cage and into clarity. Keep that stillness sacred. Guard it gently. The freedom you feel now is not fragile, it's eternal. Walk forward in it, and let your life itself become the testimony of a soul restored. Guilt is heavy, not because of what it weighs, but because of how long you carry it. Some burdens don't crush you all at once. They wear you down quietly over time. You've learned to smile through it, to serve, to worship, to lead. while something deep inside still whispers, "You haven't made peace with this." Heaven speaks clearly through the words in the book of Micah, chapter 7, verse 19. He will again have compassion on us. He will tread our iniquities underfoot. You will cast all our sins into the depths of the sea. That is mercy's promise. God doesn't store your failures. He sinks them. But many of the chosen walk through life dragging chains that have already been cut, carrying guilt that heaven no longer recognizes. You've prayed for forgiveness, but have you forgiven yourself? That's where the real captivity hides. Heaven may declare you free, but guilt whispers, "You're pretending." And sometimes you start to believe that whisper more than the word. Guilt grows like ivy slowly, beautifully, even, wrapping itself around your heart until you mistake it for part of you. It decorates your memories with shame, convincing you that you're not worthy of starting over. But the cross didn't just cancel sin, it cancelled the right of shame to speak. You cannot live as both the accused and the redeemed. One must die for the other to live. There was a chosen one named Nael. For years, he preached about forgiveness, but never accepted it for himself. He had made one mistake in his youth, one that replayed in his mind like an old film. He thought the scar was holy, a reminder to stay humble. But it wasn't humility that kept him bound. It was hidden disbelief. One day, while reading the Psalms, he felt something break, not emotionally, but spiritually. He realized he had been holding on to guilt as proof of sincerity, as if carrying pain made repentance more real. From that day, he let it go, and for the first time in years, his laughter returned. That's what guilt does. It disguises itself as devotion. It makes you think the ache is sacred. But the truth is, guilt after forgiveness is just pride in disguise. It says, "My sin is too big for grace." You cannot heal while you're secretly punishing yourself. Every time you revisit the memory that God has buried, you're digging up what heaven already called finished. Guilt loves the past because it cannot survive the present. It thrives in replay, not renewal. That's why your mind keeps replaying moments that no longer exist. It's trying to anchor you in what God has already erased. Imagine walking along a shore and seeing footprints in wet sand. The tide comes in and washes them away. Yet, out of habit, you still trace them with your eyes, trying to follow a path that no longer exists. That's how guilt works. It invites you to walk on memories that the waves of grace already erased. But look closer. Do you see the ocean? It's calm. It's vast. And somewhere beneath its depth lie the fragments of every mistake you've confessed. You'll never find them again. Because heaven doesn't store records of redeemed souls, only testimonies. To live forgiven means to stop treating the past like it still owns you. Forgiveness doesn't erase history, it redeems it. What once defined you becomes a detail in your story, not your identity. There's beauty in brokenness, but not when you worship the cracks. Healing is not pretending the wound never existed, it's realizing it no longer bleeds. Some of the guilt you carry isn't even yours anymore, it's inherited. Words spoken over you, shame passed down, expectations you never asked for. Heaven is cutting those cords too. You are not responsible for fixing what generations before you broke. You are responsible only for walking free. Let your tears fall if they must. Each drop is a baptism of release. You're not crying because you're weak. You're crying because your spirit finally believes you're forgiven. The sound you'll hear next, the quiet peace in your chest, that's grace taking its rightful seat again. The war between who you were and who you are ends tonight. From this moment forward, whenever guilt tries to speak, remind it of its grave. Say, "That's already underwater." Say, "That's already done." You're not the same person who made that mistake. You've been remade, renamed, redeemed, and someday soon, you'll look back and realize the memory that once haunted you has become your testimony, the very proof that mercy wins. Heaven is crying out again. The sound is not thunder or trumpet, it's the still, trembling voice that you keep hearing deep within your spirit. Come closer while there's still time. You've been delaying, reasoning, explaining, but heaven is done waiting for perfect timing. The call is now, as written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Mercy has spoken through dreams, through people, through sudden interruptions that kept you from disaster. You called it coincidence, but it wasn't. Heaven has been rewriting your calendar to protect your destiny. Every delay, every closed door, every moment that frustrated you, they weren't punishments. They were pauses of grace. But now, the pause is ending. Heaven is waiting for your yes, not the verbal kind, the kind that shows up in action, in surrender, in finally doing what you know you were called to do. This is that moment. This is the cry before silence. There was a chosen one named Aaron. For years, God called him to let go of something he loved, a plan, a dream, a partnership. Every time he tried, fear would whisper, "You'll lose everything." So he waited, convincing himself that delay was wisdom. But one day, he realized he wasn't delaying obedience, he was disobeying politely. That night, he whispered, "Lord, I'm scared, but I'll obey." And when he did, the chains he didn't even know he had began to fall. That's what obedience does. It doesn't just open doors, it breaks invisible locks. Heaven is calling you to obedience not because you're in trouble, but because you're chosen for something sacred. You can't carry this calling halfway anymore. There's too much light waiting to move through you. Maybe you feel unqualified, unprepared, or too broken. But listen, heaven never called you because you were ready. It called you because you were willing. God specializes in turning the least likely into the most radiant. This call is not about perfection, it's about position. Heaven is saying, stand where I placed you. Even if you're trembling, if you've felt the stirring lately, the restlessness that no distraction can silence, the divine discomfort that won't go away, that's not anxiety. That's assignment. Heaven is trying to get your attention one more time. Every delay carries a cost. Every ignored whisper makes the next one harder to hear. There comes a point where mercy doesn't leave, but it steps back, giving you what you choose. And that's what this message is, your final warning before grace stops pleading and starts waiting. You are not being condemned, you're being pursued. The Creator of all still finds you worth interrupting. Maybe this message feels personal because it is. Heaven is speaking directly into your spirit right now. You can sense it, the heaviness, the awareness, the trembling. That's divine contact. And in this moment, heaven is asking for your response, not tomorrow, not when things calm down, not once I fix myself. Now, it's not a coincidence you're here. It's divine timing. So, pause for 1 second. And when you're ready, make your answer visible in faith. Comment the number 555 below. Let 555 mean I am answering the call. Let it mean I am stepping out of hesitation into obedience. Let it mean I am realigning my life with heaven's timing. The number 555 has always been the symbol of divine change, the shaking before the shift, the holy disruption before new order begins. When you type it, it's more than digits, it's declaration. You're saying, I am ready for transformation, no matter the cost. And heaven listens. Every number typed in sincerity becomes a signal in the spirit realm, a flare of light that says, this one still wants God. It's not about being noticed by people, it's about being marked by purpose. You've been circling the same mountain too long. This is your descent into destiny. You can't camp at almost anymore. Heaven has work for you to do. And delay is no longer protection, it's disobedience. But if you take this step, if you respond, even trembling, heaven will meet you halfway. Doors that refuse to move will open. Strength that once felt lost will return. The fire that dimmed will flare back to life. Your obedience will do more than rescue you. It will ripple. Generations will feel this decision. Because obedience doesn't just free you, it frees everyone attached to your calling. So, when you write 555, don't do it casually. Do it with reverence. You're signing your spirits, yes. You're saying, here I am. Lord, interrupt me again, if you must. But don't let me drift away. The cry from heaven isn't angry, it's urgent, because you still matter to the plan. The call has reached you again. Don't make God repeat himself. There comes a moment in every chosen life when the road narrows so sharply that hesitation feels like heartbreak. You've come to that place, the hour of decision. You can no longer live halfway between surrender and survival. Heaven isn't asking for pieces of you anymore. It's asking for all of you. As declared in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life, that you and your descendants may live. This is not about fear, it's about finality. The time for circling questions has ended. You've heard enough messages, seen enough signs, felt enough conviction. Heaven's not sending new proof, it's asking for proof of your answer. Decision feels heavy because your flesh and your spirit never want the same thing. The spirit longs for obedience, the flesh begs for ease. You feel torn, not because you're weak, but because transformation always begins with tearing. The path of obedience is rarely comfortable. It demands everything: your comfort, your plans, even your pride. But in exchange, it gives you something the world can't offer: peace that doesn't break when storms come. You already know what God is asking of you. The details may differ, but the feeling is unmistakable. That persistent nudge, that recurring dream, that moment when you try to distract yourself but conviction stays, that's heaven asking for a response. You can't serve both the voice that calls you forward and the voice that keeps you still. Neutrality is rebellion disguised as patience. The middle ground between obedience and disobedience is just disobedience delayed. There was once a chosen one named Silas. He was a man of deep calling, but shallow commitment. Every time God asked him to step out, Silas said, "I'm not ready yet." He mistook mercy for permission. One day, after another season of delay, he realized the opportunities he prayed for had moved on to others. God hadn't punished him, time had. The moment of obedience had passed. He learned that delay can steal destiny more quietly than sin ever could. Not because God withdraws grace, but because life keeps moving while you stand still. Right now, you're standing at your own crossroads. One path will keep you comfortable, the other will make you complete. Comfort feels safe, but it costs clarity. Completion feels risky, but it brings purpose. The decision isn't between good and evil anymore, it's between what's easy and what's eternal. Sometimes obedience will break your heart before it heals it. You'll lose people, positions, maybe even your sense of control. But obedience never leaves you empty for long. God always fills what He first empties. You're being invited into a kind of faith that doesn't need explanations. The kind that walks on water, not because it's easy, but because standing still means sinking. I know it's frightening. Every decision worth making is. Heaven doesn't ask you to feel fearless. It asks you to move even when you're afraid. Fear loses power when obedience begins. Remember, Abraham had to leave without a map. Moses had to step into a sea that hadn't parted yet. Esther had to walk into a throne room without an invitation. The chosen are never given certainty, only calling. You will never feel ready. That's the secret no one tells you. Readiness is a myth. Willingness is the miracle. When you finally choose obedience, you'll feel something shift, not around you, but within you. It's the moment heaven recognizes a decision. The spiritual air changes, favor begins to flow. And that's the quiet beauty of decisive faith. It doesn't always shout. It just moves. Picture a seed breaking open in the dark. It's painful. It's hidden. But it's necessary. The soil feels like burial, but it's actually birthplace. That's what obedience looks like, dying to what's been, so that life can begin again. You've been hovering between almost and all in, but the earth beneath you won't open until you choose. Heaven won't force you, but it will wait. It always waits until waiting turns to warning. This is the hour of decision, not because God is impatient, but because He knows what delay can destroy. So quiet your fears, silence your what-ifs, and step, even if you tremble. Because obedience doesn't require understanding, only trust. Once you choose, the noise will fade, the confusion will clear, and for the first time in a long while, peace will feel permanent. You are not standing on the edge of loss, you are standing on the edge of purpose. Choose life. Choose surrender. Choose the path that costs you everything, because that's the one that leads to glory. Surrender. Sounds simple until you have to do it. The word itself feels light, but the act feels like falling without a promise of landing. Yet this is where every chosen soul must pass through the valley between control and trust, between your will and His. The prophet Jeremiah once wrote in the 33rd chapter, verse 3, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and show you great and mighty things which you do not know." That verse is not a gentle suggestion, it's an invitation into revelation that only surrender can unlock. You can't see mighty things while your hands are full of your own plans. You've tried steering your life with logic, timelines, and strategy. But the kingdom never moves by calculation, it moves by release. You've built schedules around your faith. Yet heaven has been asking for faith without a schedule. Surrender doesn't begin when you lose control. It begins when you stop pretending you ever had it. There was once a chosen one named Talia. Her faith was precise prayers written in lists, goals structured by months. She loved God deeply, but she treated him like a system that could be optimized. When things didn't unfold according to her plan, she panicked. One night she prayed, "Lord, what am I doing wrong?" And heaven answered softly, "You're not trusting me. You're trying to manage me." Those words shattered her pride. She cried until her plans drowned. The next day, she woke with no plan, only peace. That was the beginning of surrender. When you surrender, heaven doesn't hand you a roadmap. It gives you a compass that points to trust. You won't always know what's next, but you'll always know who's leading. The reason surrender feels painful is because it kills the illusion of control. You keep thinking you're giving up freedom when, in truth, you're receiving it. The weight of having to make everything work is heavier than the yoke of obedience will ever be. Think of a bird fighting the wind. It flaps wildly, resisting the current, believing it must control direction. But the moment it spreads its wings, the same wind that resisted it begins to carry it. That's surrender, not the absence of motion, but the alignment of motion with divine flow. You may not realize it yet, but your struggle is not against circumstance, it's against yielding. The human heart would rather wrestle than rest, because wrestling feels like effort, and effort feels like progress. Yet, in the kingdom, rest is warfare. The moment you stop striving, the enemy loses leverage. Surrender is not defeat, it's divine alignment. It's when your heartbeat begins to sync with heaven's rhythm. That's when miracles move easily, not because you force them, but because you've stopped blocking them. There's a story told of a farmer during drought. He prayed for rain every day, yet his field remained dry. One evening, exhausted, he whispered, "God, I can't dig another trench." The wind replied, "Then stop digging trenches and lift your hands." That night, rain finally came, not because he worked harder, but because he finally lifted instead of labored. Sometimes God waits until your strength breaks just to show you that his never does. You mistaken surrender for silence, but heaven is loudest in stillness. When you finally let go, the noise of fear quiets and the whisper of wisdom becomes clear. You might ask, what if surrender costs me everything? And heaven answers, then you will finally see that everything left was all you needed. Surrender doesn't remove pain, but it transforms its purpose. It turns waiting into worship and uncertainty into intimacy. It teaches you that faith is not getting your way. It's trusting God even when your way ends. It's strange how peace feels like loss at first. You'll feel empty, but that emptiness is holy. It's the space God fills next. Look back at every moment you thought would break you. You're still here. You didn't survive by strength. You survived by grace disguised as surrender. The secret of every chosen life is this: what you release multiplies. What you clutch decays. The open hand always receives more than the closed one. So, breathe. Loosen your grip. Let the currents of grace carry you. You don't have to understand every wave. You only need to trust the tide. And when surrender becomes your rhythm, you'll notice something miraculous. What once terrified you now feels like freedom. That's when you'll realize you were never falling at all. You were being lifted. Freedom always leaves traces, not of rebellion, but of radiance. You can tell when a soul has truly been set free. They no longer speak from pain. They speak from peace. And that peace has a fragrance. You carry it now, even if you don't see it yet. We find in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 1, He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart. Each will receive praise from God. When chains break, the sound isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper inside the soul, a subtle shift, a sudden ease in breathing. That's how liberation begins, quietly. Then all at once, you've walked through wilderness, silence, refinement, and surrender. Now heaven says, stand up, it's time to walk in light again, not crawling back to where you fell, but rising toward who you've become. The chains weren't your punishment, they were your preparation. You learned to worship in restraint, to pray when it hurt, to love when you were unseen. That's what made you unshakable. There was a chosen one named Azael. Years of struggle made him quiet, but not defeated. When he finally felt free, he didn't shout, he wept. He realized freedom wasn't about noise. It was about stillness that no longer feared sound. He spent his days helping others find that same stillness. He didn't preach, he simply lived healed. That's the next stage for you. Freedom is not just for feeling, it's for giving. You've been carried through so that you can carry others. And this is where our journey together finds its rhythm again, a rhythm of shared light. These words aren't meant to stay here, they're meant to travel, to echo, to find another heart that's still in chains. If this message has touched something sacred in you, release it into the world. Click like, as if lighting a candle, one flame that says, I see the light too. Share it like passing that flame down a line of souls still shivering in the dark. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, not as a routine, but as a reunion. Think of it as joining a choir of light, where every listener becomes a note in heaven's song. Now, pause. If something stirred inside you, peace, tears, clarity, leave a comment. Just a few honest words. Think of your comment as a leaf floating on the river of grace. It will drift toward someone who needed to hear that hope exists. Sometimes your single sentence becomes another person's rescue line. And quietly, gently, if your heart feels moved, to pour back, to give, to sow into this stream of messages. Do it the way rain falls, quietly, freely, without anyone watching. Giving here isn't transaction, it's participation. It's saying, let this light keep traveling. Every drop of kindness becomes part of a river that will reach someone else's drought. Your support is like watering the garden that once fed you, a way of saying thank you to the rain that reached your roots. Don't think of it as donate. Think of it as letting your gratitude move through you, because that's what light does. It refuses to stay still. Every like is a spark, every share, a bridge, every comment, a message in a bottle, and every act of giving a river. You never know whose desert it will cross, whose night it will brighten. And even if you give nothing but your presence, even if you only linger in silence, that, too, is holy. You being here, receiving truth, breathing again, that is worship. Heaven doesn't count what you give, it counts what you keep flowing. The spirit that freed you now invites you to live as proof that freedom is possible. Your peace is not private property, it's meant to spill over. Be the breeze that others feel and say. Something changed when they walked by. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Give, but let every act be a love letter, not a checklist. When it comes from sincerity, it becomes eternal. Because the goal was never numbers or noise, it was nourishment. It was to create a space where hearts heal. Quietly, but completely. When you lift your hand, whether to type, to share, or to give, you're not helping a page, you're helping a pulse of light stay alive in a noisy world. What you feel right now, that warmth in your chest, that gentle ache, that's heaven smiling back. That's the sound of connection. Not through obligation, but through love, freely chosen. So, walk in your new freedom, and let gratitude become your language. Let your every action, big or small, carry the echo of this truth. I was healed, and I choose to pass healing forward. The chains are gone. The sound of freedom now belongs to you. And if you ever wonder whether your small act matters, remember, even one flame can teach darkness how to see. Heaven records moments differently than men do. People remember what you've done. Heaven remembers what you've overcome. The record of the redeemed isn't a list of achievements. It's a testimony of endurance. A map of battles survived and tears redeemed. The Word of God declares in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 11, they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. To be marked by redemption is to carry invisible scars that shine. It's not perfection that separates the chosen from the crowd, it's transformation. Every mark you bear tells heaven, this one didn't quit. You might not see the mark, but the spirit realm does. It's light to angels and fire to darkness. Every time you resisted despair, every time you obeyed when it hurt, every time you whispered, still I believe, through tears, heaven marked that moment. The world might not have applauded, but heaven stood. There was once a chosen one named Sarah. She lived a quiet life. No fame, no platform, but she carried peace that filled rooms. People didn't know her story, how she'd lost everything, how pain had almost erased her. Yet when she prayed, the atmosphere changed. One night, she asked God, "Why me? Why do people feel peace when I enter?" The Spirit whispered, "Because your scars worship me louder than your words ever could." That's what being redeemed looks like, not spotless, but shining. The redeemed walk differently, speak differently, carry a stillness that storms cannot disturb. Their presence testifies louder than their preaching. The mark of the redeemed is not on the skin, it's in the eyes. You can see it, the quiet, knowing that even if everything falls apart, the soul remains whole. Sometimes redemption doesn't look like deliverance, it looks like resilience. It's not always an escape from the fire, sometimes it's endurance through it. You walk out with smoke in your hair and strength in your step, and heaven says, "That's mine." You've been through so much that should have broken you. And yet, look, you're still here, breathing, believing, becoming. That's not coincidence, that's covenant. You are living proof that mercy is stronger than memory. The mark of redemption is carved not in gold, but in grace. You'll know you carry it when peace becomes your reflex and love becomes your weapon. When you can look at what tried to destroy you and say, "Thank you, You taught me who I am. Every redeemed soul walks with that strange contradiction, gentle yet fierce, humble yet unyielding. You are both survivor and sanctuary. That's what heaven builds when pain meets purpose. Think of your life as a tapestry seen from both sides. From your perspective, it looks tangled threads of sorrow, confusion, unanswered prayers. But from heaven's side, it's a masterpiece of redemption. Every knot is a point of strength. Every dark thread outlines the light more clearly. Redemption doesn't erase the past. It redefines it. What once symbolized shame becomes a scar of victory. What once looked like loss becomes evidence of divine rescue. The redeemed don't need validation. They are validation. Their existence alone proves that grace works. You don't have to announce your redemption. It's visible in how you forgive, how you speak, how you respond when no one's watching. It's visible in the patience you've learned, the compassion that now replaces judgment. The mark of the redeemed is quiet courage, the kind that chooses love even when misunderstood. It's the willingness to stay kind after cruelty, to keep hope alive after disappointment. That mark doesn't fade, it grows brighter the more you walk in humility. And though others may not recognize it, heaven never loses sight of it. In a world obsessed with appearance, redemption is heaven's rebellion. It values the unseen, the healed, the transformed. The crown of the redeemed isn't made of gold. It's made of moments when you chose faith instead of fear. So, look at your journey. The places where you almost gave up, those are your altars now. The tears you shed in silence, those are the ink of your testimony. You carry heaven's mark now. You don't need to chase significance, you already embody it. Wherever you go, the atmosphere shifts, because the redeemed carry evidence of eternity within them. Let that awareness settle into your soul, the realization that you are no longer defined by damage, but by deliverance. When heaven looks at you, it doesn't see what you did, it sees what you became. You are not merely forgiven, you are redefined. You are heaven's reminder that grace still wins, and that chosen one is the mark of the redeemed. Every transformation eventually becomes testimony. Every surrender becomes a sound. You have walked through night after night, wondering if dawn would ever come, and it did. Not as sunlight, but as understanding. The story that once hurt to tell has turned into the truth that heals others. That's how redemption finishes its work. Quietly, faithfully, beautifully. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Zechariah. Chapter 9, verse 12. Return to your fortress. You prisoners of hope, even now I announce that I will restore twice as much to you. Hope is not the soft, naive thing people imagine it to be. Hope is a warrior dressed in white, bleeding, bruised, but still standing. It has survived betrayal, exhaustion, and silence. Yet it refuses to surrender. That's who you've become, a prisoner of hope, bound not by fear, but by faith that refuses to die. You've been through the valley and back, through seasons where heaven felt far and faith felt fragile. You've doubled, fallen, risen, and learned that grace is not a place you reach, but a rhythm you return to. Every time you stumbled and whispered, "I still believe," heaven wrote another chapter of glory with your name on it. The story of the chosen is not one of perfection, it's one of persistence. You've discovered that victory doesn't always look like winning. Sometimes it looks like enduring without bitterness. Sometimes it looks like still choosing light after walking through years of shadow. There was a chosen one named Eliara. She had prayed for restoration. But restoration didn't come the way she imagined. Instead of instant breakthrough, it came as a slow awakening. Each day, she found a piece of herself returning laughter first. Then, confidence. Then, courage. One morning, she realized she no longer looked at her scars with shame. They had become maps, proof that she had walked through darkness and found her way back. That's how heaven restores, not by replacing what was lost, but by revealing what could never be taken. The double portion Zechariah spoke of is not always material, it's internal. You lose comfort and gain clarity. You lose certainty and gain strength. You lose people and find presence. What's restored isn't what was, it's what's eternal. You are not who you were when this began. Every wound became wisdom. Every delay became discipline. Every silence became shaping. The fire didn't consume you, it refined you. Think of gold, melted and remade. The old form dissolves, and in that destruction comes purity. That's your journey. The melting was mercy. What you mistook for breaking was actually rebirth. You are no longer defined by what tried to destroy you. You are defined by what could not. The final phase of transformation is peace, not the fragile peace of avoidance, but the unshakable calm of alignment. It's the moment you no longer need everything to make sense, because you finally trust the one who does. You've seen the pattern now, how every loss made space for light, how every unanswered prayer became a doorway to deeper purpose. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was weaving. God has been crafting something intricate with your life, threading beauty through every bruise. When you look back, you'll realize the path that nearly broke you actually built you. Each heartbreak expanded your heart. Each unanswered question became the soil where revelation grew. You are standing now in the aftermath of grace, the holy quiet that comes after storms. You don't need to prove anything anymore. The proof is your peace. Heaven doesn't celebrate because you finished perfectly. It celebrates because you didn't quit. You kept showing up. You kept believing. You kept standing when everything inside you wanted to sit down. You have become a living prophecy, evidence that even when everything collapses, the soul can rise again. This is the eternal shift. The old world has no language for what you've become. You're no longer surviving days. You're shaping them. Your steps have weight now, not from weariness, but from glory. Everywhere you go, the air changes because freedom travels with you. There will still be storms, yes, but now you know the secret. Peace doesn't depend on weather, it depends on worship. And when the next trial comes, and it will, you'll face it differently. You'll remember this path, these words, this awakening. You'll remember that the same God who carried you through the fire will walk you through the next field of flames untouched. The story doesn't end here. It opens here. Redemption is not a finish line. It's a fountain that never dries. You will keep returning. Keep pouring. Keep reflecting the light that once rescued you. And one day, when others look at you and ask, "How did you survive?" you'll smile and answer softly, "I didn't, grace did." You are marked. You are sent. You are whole. This is the eternal shift. And now, chosen one. The words grow quiet, but the light does not. You've walked through flame and found peace in the ashes. What you hold now isn't an ending. It's a torch. If this journey awakened something in you, click like, as if raising that torch high. Each click is a spark small, but alive, sending a signal to heaven. The flame is still burning here. Share this message as if releasing a dove at dawn, carrying light across unseen skies to someone still searching for home. You may never meet them, but grace knows how to find its way. Leave a comment not as noise, but as testimony. A single sentence of truth can echo like a bell in another heart, reminding them that hope is not gone. Write what you felt, what shifted, what healed. Let your words become a breadcrumb for someone else's way back. Subscribe if these messages feel like shelter. Think of it as staying near a campfire in a cold world, a place to return to warmth when the night grows long. And quietly, if your heart feels led, give, not as obligation, but as breath, the same way lungs exhale so others can inhale. Your giving is the rain that keeps this garden alive, watering unseen seeds that will bloom in souls you'll never meet. Everything you do here, every like, share, comment, subscription, or gift becomes a loop of light returning to its source. You are part of that circle now, proof that what was once broken can shine again.